Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fanfiction it inspires. I'm Karlee.
I'm Sandra, and today's guest, Karen, who's known as Wayward and Worn in the fanfic community, has written over 100 SPN fics. She began her reader insert journey on Tumblr and then posted her works on AO3 starting in 2018. So, Karen, we wanted to say thank you for taking the time to talk to us about your fanfiction today.
I'm stoked to be here. Thank you very much.
Good. I just want to start
excited.
right off the bat. When and how did you get into supernatural?
I can't remember what I had just finished watching, but I just finished binging through something on Netflix and I had nothing else to watch. And no joke, Supernatural popped up as, recommended for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big fan of horror movies, always have been.
Mm-hmm.
And and it was, I can't remember the picture, but I'm sure it was some picture of Sam and Dean looking stoic, kind of thing.
Yes.
And it was probably around 2012. So it had been running a while. And I clicked the first episode of the first season. And like so many of us, Dad's on a hunting trip and everything was lost after that.
So 2012. So that's not too far after it actually started. I mean, I'm like a 2019 when I got into it. And Karlee, I think 2017?
17, I think.
Yeah. So did you have any inkling? Did you know about Jared or Jensen from anything else before that?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. And it took me a solid year to get their names straight.
My husband still can't.
Do be like that sometimes.
I knew nothing going in, nothing at all. And
Okay.
it was a slow progression. And then one day I turned around and was like, what the hell happened?
So were you hooked immediately, like right off the bat, like with the first episode, or did it take a little while of like watching the episodes and really starting to connect?
The first, because being a fan of horror movies and, I've been watching because I'm a Gen Xer, I'm on that end of the grid.
That's
MJ.
me too. Yeah, that's me too.
Horror movies have to really do something special to get my attention. So, Monster of the Week wasn't something I'd ever really seen. So I was pretty much in the first 2-3 episodes, and it was just, and there was so much so much more to see.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel when they started to switch? Because I feel like there was a big change, like maybe by the third or fourth season with like Monster of the Week kind of not being a thing. Were you still as into it by that point? Like at that point, was it just because now Sam and Dean had also just like gotten ingrained in you as well?
Yeah, it really had. Because in some things just absolutely go right over my head until somebody mentions it, like the transition between like the end of season 5 to season 6 and when writers would change. I wouldn't have noticed any of that had I not seen it, reading about it later on.
Okay.
So I was, unless they had done something really, really like completely out of character or completely just changed everything, like suddenly went to like spaceships and sci-fi,
Mm-hmm.
I was after the first couple seasons, like, here we are. I'm in the whole time.
Aw. Now, are you, did you like one brother more than the other to start, or?
Okay, one of you is going to hate this and one is going to love this. And I apologize in both directions. I did not know for a really long time which brother I favored, if at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a friend at work that also watched Supernatural. And it was one of those days where it's like, you watch Supernatural too? Oh, great. And she randomly got me a necklace that said Dean's Girl. And when I got that gift, I'm like, all right.
Is that how you made your decision?
I'm like, yeah. It helped.
Oh, well, I've noticed, and we'll talk, some of your, I see there's a lot of Dean love, but there's also a lot of Sam love in a lot of your fiction. So I'm interested in like exploring that a little bit more too. Yeah. So
Sam lovers, please. It's heavy. Come help me. I swear, everyone
Karlee.
that we have on.
No,
like,
that's
I love
not
Dean so
true.
much. It is true.
And it's not fair. It's absolutely not fair.
It is not fair.
No,
I fully agree with you.
I agree with you. And some of my Sam pieces, and I can't even like think of one like right at the moment, but there are some of mine that are like, this is damn good. And he doesn't get anywhere near as much love as he should. I agree.
Yeah, you know what? I noticed that as well, posting Sam and Dean reader inserts. You post a Dean insert and you're pretty guaranteed to get a good reception. You post Sam and people are like, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Or you get like the very, very, the big Sam fans, they're right there right away. And it's like, you're who I'm writing this for. But yeah,
you're my people.
Yeah. It's not fair. It's absolutely not fair.
Why do we think that is? Any thoughts or anything?
You have eyes. I'm seeing Dean. Sandra.
No.
Did you lose your eyeballs?
No.
I get it. I think you're all wrong, but I have eyeballs and I get it. You look at Jensen and you're like, oh yeah. Sam's got the hair, and that puts a lot of male attracted people off. And I get that. I'm not one of them, but I get it.
Yeah. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but
I really don't know. I don't know why that is. It's not because there are some. It depends on what the image is, what the picture is, what it's from, what they're doing, what the character is at the time. There are days where Jared kicks the crap out of Jensen. There are some days in those images they're just hands down, and like I'm a huge fan of Soulless Sam. I don't know why.
Yes.
But Soulless Sam, hell yeah. I don't know why. And I don't think it was always like that. Like something happened where all of a sudden, Dean outweighed Sam. It bothers me because I'm guilty of it too. But I don't know why. I don't know. I got nothing. I'm sorry.
It's just one of those mysteries. Like if you prefer blondes or brunettes. It's just one of those mysteries.
Yeah.
Brown eyes, green eyes. What do you like more? Yeah, I don't know. No.
Well, we like to say when you know. So that's kind of like I think how that was too. For me for a while. So, so we've established you're not a Twitter person. When did you start using Tumblr, and was Tumblr sort of like where you started with your fan fiction, or was it more like just Tumblr for communication and then you fell into the fanfic part of it, or how did those two things work together?
It's an older meme, but it's a meme of somebody like running and jumping into this gigantic sinkhole. And it's I didn't even know what Tumblr was. And I was one of the people who fought leaving MySpace for a really long time. So, but Facebook, I started seeing more and more supernatural stuff, and I started seeing we have a GIF for that. That whole supernatural fandom has a GIF for everything. And I started following those, and that's where the Tumblrs started popping in, the names of Tumblr. And so I went over to Tumblr to see what was happening. And I knew that, this might be this could be a big deal. And I went over to Tumblr with a different ID. Okay. And, there's more and more. And then you start reading, the fan fiction. I started reading the fan fiction. Then I started reading about the writers. And I said, I wound up saying to myself an awful lot of times, like, these people are just like me. These people would understand, just everything without going into a gigantic sob story. Everything changed for me in 2014. And literally the night of the season 10 premiere. And like I said, I don't want to get into a big sob story, but something bad happened and everything changed the night of the premiere, and the Supernatural fandom suddenly became something else to me. And so when I went to Tumblr and I started just looking around as an observer and finding that there are people that I could relate to, I had remembered that I actually used to like to write.
Mm.
And that's when Wayward and Worn came out.
Okay.
So that's how I got to Tumblr. And it took me a while to figure that out because I've been on Tumblr for a few years now. It took me a while to dig back and remember where it came from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So did you see some people that inspired you in particular that then you reached out to about writing, or was it more, I see these people doing this, let me give it a shot? Or were you a little bit more of like, because I know I myself.
Did you have a friend that pushed you into it?
Yeah, because I think I did it sort of more by inspiration. Karlee got kind of pushed back into it again. So was it more just your experience?
I am the only one that I know that does this in my circle of people that I can like walk outside and go poke in the face.
Uh-huh.
You know, a lot of else.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah, same.
So,
yeah, it was a digital person that was like, "Hey, do this." Digital poke.
There were two writers that I was blown away by their talent in writing, and one of them, they're both. One of them. I think I don't know where she went. She was a Sam fan, and her handle was Saxology. She was a huge Sam fan. And then another one was Kitten of Doomage. And both of their writing was just, I couldn't believe that they weren't published.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read Kitten of Doomage. That name is really familiar to me.
Yeah, they're a fantastic writing. And I believe she's in the UK, I think.
Oh.
But anyway, my first writing was I think it was Saxology was having a it wasn't a contest, a writing challenge, and it was a short one, and I thought, why not? Because I kept coming up with my own ideas and not doing anything with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a shot and I posted one. And just on my own. And I didn't really talk to anybody one-on-one for another couple of years after that, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't really talk to anyone directly for quite a while.
But were you continuing to write?
Yes.
Okay. Were you getting good responses from your writing, like right away? Or did it take a little while to...
It took a little bit, but I mean, everything, like I never turned on Anon on my profiles.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't, and I wasn't really looking for it. Like the likes were enough, were enough for me to get the notifications. It was kind of like, it was really kind of addicting. It's like, hey,
yes.
Yeah.
And the followers, and, I can't even, and I just kept going because the ideas kept coming. It was, it had been so long since I was carrying around a notebook and just writing, anytime I could. I started keeping a notebook by the bed because, of course, the best ideas come as you're falling asleep, and telling yourself you're going to remember just never happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So with your writing, you said that you got back into it. When did you start writing prior to Supernatural? And was it fan fiction, or was it just like original writing, original pieces?
A million years ago, when I was in school, I was going to be the next Stephen King.
Okay.
So I started writing in high school, pretty much, and there was fan fiction in high school, but it wasn't called that then. It was just scribbles.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody else did stuff like that for until the advent of social media. It's like I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I'd written some fan fiction in high school, and some of my own stuff, and a few years into college. But then after that, life got busier, and I kind of fell off it, and I forgot, and I never really thought, I didn't know if I was good at it or not. I really didn't. I didn't dwell on it too long. I just one day I didn't anymore, you know, and I didn't even realize it until I was like, hey, I wonder if I can still do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a very similar kind of thing of writing in my kind of like late teens. And then life just went, you don't have time for that anymore. And you never plan to stop. But one day you go, shit, I haven't done that in ages.
Yeah. But I kept collecting notebooks and pens.
Look, you can never have enough notebooks and pens because when you need one, they all run away.
I know.
I mean, I'm
trying to buy them right now, and if I needed to write something down, I couldn't find a single one.
Yeah, I keep special pens in the house because my husband will write with anything. You know, he's the kind of person who like cut his finger and write in blood with a stick or something. And I like nice pens. So I keep nice pens in the house. And inevitably I will need to write something down and I'll be like, where have all my pens gone? Why have you stolen all of my pens, guys? You have so many shitty pens. Go get one of your crap pens. Stop stealing my good ones. So I actually had and it's kind of fallen off now, but for a while there, especially when I was writing a lot, I had writing pens and I had work pens. I had special. Oh yes. Dean was green. Sam was purple. Cass was blue. I had special, and they're the gel pens. They're the really good ones. Like, oh yeah, they got the good ones. Yeah. Because you got to be comfortable. Work is work. And you're just scribbling down whatever you're scribbling down. If you're sitting down to write, and especially like handwriting, you need nice pens. Fully on board with that. I'm
completely non-linear. Like I will have, and that's another reason because I color code a lot of things in regular life too. So like I would be writing like, this is something Dean would say, and I'd write it in green, and I would like be in the middle of a Samfic, but it's like right in the middle. There's green, so I know that doesn't belong there when I'm transferring it into the computer.
Oh my gosh! So your process is it still just like writing in a notebook first? Like, do your entire are they all written out, and then you just transfer over? Because I find that amazing. I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. Everything's on the computer.
I love doing it because I consider it an edit because what's on the written page and what ends up in the computer are very rarely word for word. But the funny thing is that if I, when I'm taking it out of the notebook and typing it out, if it is word for word, then I know it's good because it was just as good when I wrote it as when I'm trying to bring it back out again. But I love writing everything down first. I don't know why, because sometimes I cannot write fast enough. Get everything out, because when the ideas are good and Sam is dragging me down his storyline, I got to get it out. I have to get it out, and sometimes I just can't write fast enough. But I have a stack of notebooks that just need to be freaking used, so that's also why I write.
Oh my gosh! So has everything that you've written, I mean, in terms of like supernatural fan fiction, are there a lot of stories that still have yet to get posted?
Oh yeah.
How many? Like percentage wise, how much would you say?
There's probably a good 20% that are still nesting in notebooks, but there's a couple that will never. They've been written, and I have the end, but I didn't finish them because I got distracted with other things. But there's some that'll never need to see the light of day, but they had to get out of my head because they were so good. But
yeah,
there is some, yes, that is still out there.
Oh, so
just before you move on, Sandra, there is actually science behind Karen's thing there, because you're supposed to, if you're writing on the computer and you need to go back and edit, you're supposed to change the font because it makes like errors and issues stand out to you better, because you're not like your eyes don't glaze over. So that's actually probably a brilliant idea to handwrite it first, because then you'll pick it up when you're looking at it on the screen. I'm not going to do that because I don't have the patience to do that. But that's great. I love that. You're playing into the science there. That's fab.
There is, and actually part of my actual job is sort of proofreading by trade, and that's one of the things that I learned years ago, is that when you're reading, another one that they say is to read it backwards, but nobody's got time for that.
Oh no.
God no. But to change the font. And, it absolutely does help. And I use that trick on the longer ones because after so many pages and so many chapters, you're not even really reading it. You're glazing it because you've already seen it how many times.
Yeah.
And you change that font and it's like, where the hell did that come from?
Now, see, what I do at that point is post it and put an author's note in going, I've read this so many times that I hate it. So if there are any issues, I'm sorry, but I can't look at this anymore. I should just change the font. That might be better, but I don't. It just goes, when I'm at that point, it just goes out into the internet and I'm like, you guys figure it out. I don't know what to tell you.
There's been a few where I jump the gun. And if it's a multi-chapter, and I try not to do that because I'm like, this is fine. It's never going to change. And I post it, and then I get a little farther down the line. Shit.
Yep.
Now the whole thing doesn't work.
And then you have to go back, and you either have to go back, retcon it, and leave a note and go, I have changed some things. Please see chapter 1 because it's different now. Or you have to pull the whole thing down and start again. Yeah. Oh, yep. Yes. Yeah, I've learned my lesson there. I don't post it until it's done. Till I hate it. Till I've posted it enough that I hate it. And then I'm like, it's ready. It's done. It can go now. I'm not coming back to this anymore.
Yeah. I have one. It's a Samfic. I had one that I started writing in 17, I think. And I finally got to the point where I'm like, I can't keep this in here anymore because I wanted it to get out. And damn it, there's a few chapters out there and I got stuck. And I'm so mad. I'm so mad at it. I'm so mad at myself. So there's this unfinished Samfic out there that I won't take it down because I like what's up there, but we're stuck and Sam's not helping me.
He's like that, isn't he?
Yes.
He's like that. He's just like, nope, I'm not doing nothing. And I love writing Sam, but the amount of tantrums that boy has when you tell him to do something and he goes, no, I'm going to sit here and be a giant moody baby about it. Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to open my laptop and ignore you and you can figure this shit out on your own. Thanks.
Yep. See, maybe the fact that you don't write Sam works to your advantage, Sandra, because Dean doesn't do that. Dean might argue with you, but he engages. No. He'll argue with you. Sam just goes, no.
Yeah, I find Sam very difficult to understand. So I guess that's why I don't. I'm intimidated to write Sam.
Don't tell him that because you'll never get anywhere. He'll just sit down and prop his feet up and go, yeah, well, sucks a suck, doesn't it?
Well, depends if that's before or after he's been running.
I just wrote something that had running Sam in it, and where Dean is basically like being like decides to run with him for obvious reasons because there's a female involved that he wants to, get his attention. And yeah, I think that's when Sam's like probably like got all of his like thoughts and processes in there, right? Like he's in the groove, he's just doing his thing and nobody else can stop him. And it's like, screw you guys. Just leaving
Sam is a bad running partner because he just leaves him. He's like, look, there's a park. I'll pick you up later. And just fucks off.
Later, sucker.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so glad someone else experiences that with me, right, Sam? I thought it was just me. I swear to God, I thought I was like, I'm a bad writer and that's why he won't behave for me. But apparently, no. Apparently, that's just him.
No, that's just him. That's just him being an asshole.
Yeah, it's just a moody, angsty baby, and you can't make him move until he's done being a moody, angsty baby.
Aww. Well, I'm definitely not writing him. I have one
we put you
Sam.
off writing Sam because you had so many plans to do that.
No, I told you I did. I started a Sam one, but I'm like, I was 4 or 5 pages in and I didn't know what to do. And I was like,
he won't help you.
Yeah. So mine's just kind of there. Mine's just there waiting. Yeah.
Even with both of them too, because even sometimes with Dean, depending on what it is, it's like when they're easy to write, they're so easy to write. But when they're not, there isn't a force under God that's going to get that out of you until 3:00 in the morning. It's like, there's the answer.
Yeah. I wrote a Dean. It was meant to be a one shot. It was meant to be a one shot, and they were going to have an argument, and then they were going to have angry makeup sex, and it was going to be great. And then Dean put his foot so far in his mouth that I had to walk away for like a week and just go, figure some shit out, guys, because I don't know what to do now. And I came back and like he figured his stuff out. But I just had to put the whole Google Doc down and just be like, no, I can't fix this. I don't know why you've done this, but I can't. No, this was not what it ended up being like 3 chapters because he just went foot, face, all the way in.
And 3 seems to be the magic number too, because I have one Shiver Shot was supposed to be a 1-shot because it was going to be a play on Shiver Shot. 1-shot. I was so damn clever. And Demon Dean's like, nope. The hell you are.
Oh, they're not helpful at all in different ways.
So is it a certain, because now I'm curious, is it a certain incarnation of like Sam or Dean? Is it a certain point in time of Sam or Dean that gives you all these situations or like problems? Or is it when he's Demon Dean? Is it earlier in seasons? For Sam, is it Soulless Sam, or is it like later season Sam, or is like what's the crux of it that's kind of like sometimes gets you in that spot, like why aren't you behaving? Is there a certain theme or something you can pinpoint to? I feel like I lean towards when they're like, you know, because they can be giant assholes just on a regular day, like just on a regular Tuesday with no apocalypse, no no demon blood, no soullessness, no nothing. But I think when they're just helplessly belligerent, it's more fun to write them at times. Like Soulless Sam, Blood Drinking Sam, or Mark of Cain Dean and Demon Dean, when they're just so I can forgive them saying any matter of stupid and mean shit because of this.
Yeah.
And those sometimes are the when they're the most difficult to write and they're the easiest to write all in one. It's hard to explain, but it's just, I know that you would do that, Dean, but damn it, can you just dial it down a minute? You know?
I think it's when you get more into like just like when you strip away all the facades that they were getting to play with, right? Like I feel like getting them on a more like human level sometimes is when it's harder for me to like, you know, write them and try to get into their mindset, where when you've got like these great like Mark of Cain or Demon Dean or Soulless Sam or Samifer, like all those different things that are going on gives you that dialed up to like a level 10. So you can play around with it more. And like you said, not feel like, oh, I can get away with them doing that or saying that or being that way. But then it's like maybe in more of the, at least for me, I think it's more like the quiet moments, like trying to really get inside. Because we are of the mindset that they, like I'm sure everybody else is, that the boys just needed a lot of therapy because they went through a lot of shit. And if they got in therapy, they would be better with their words and be able to communicate and do all the things that, you know, we want them to be able to do for themselves and for, you know, everyone around them. So, I mean, that's my thought on it. Because
I've always struggled with the more emotional, mostly with Sam, because pretty much all I've done with Dean has just been like
him on his knees.
Yeah, and that's you don't have to think about that. That's nice. But with Sam, you try and put emotion into it. And that was the one time I didn't want to put emotion with Dean, but it happened. And then he crammed his foot so far down his throat, I had to walk away and be like, I'm not dealing with you when you behave like this.
Well, that means you're writing him right. You're right.
Well, yeah, that's good to know.
Doing it right.
I will say, as someone who's writing Demon Dean currently, he's a fucking delight. He's amazing. He just says the worst stuff and you're like, oh, that's great. I'm having a great time with Demon Dean. Well, there's emotion involved, but we don't have to deal with it just yet. At the moment, it's just all crap and fabulous. Yeah, but it's the emotional side, especially for Sam, who I don't know if I've mentioned is an angsty, broody baby all of the time for me. So if I'm trying to get him to like connect emotionally, and I'm like, why are you like this? Please, just get in line. Yeah.
And I think part of the other thing too, when Sam and Dean are so altered like that for whatever reason, it's, you know, it bleeds through in the fact that it gave Jensen and Jared themselves this opportunity to act outside of the box of the regular character.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of us just go bonkers for that, because it's like, look at the range at this that he has too.
Yeah.
And that's where, especially because you have to have, Sam's, the softer side of Sam, to, Dean's roughness, because you have to have them counter each other. Otherwise it's just watching the same dude twice.
Mm.
But when you've got the softer one just going, soulless, and we pick it up faster than his brother did, and but then you've got Dean that's like, how big of an asshole can I be? It's just it was so great to see that range and play with that.
Mm.
Yes, a couple of weeks ago now, I just started season 6 on my rewatch and messaged Sandra. It was like quite late at night UK time, and I was like, I have watched the first episode of season 6 and I am not happy. She came back to me and she was like, okay, first of all, why aren't you in bed? And secondly, what? And I was like, how did he not know? It's obvious from the off. How did he get like 4 episodes in before he figured out something was wrong? I know. I yelled at her quite a lot about that. I do that in the early hours because I can't sleep and I know she's still up. So I'm just like, I have problems and you're going to be the one to listen.
And no, it's your problem.
She can't fix. She can just go, we should talk about that on the podcast.
Yeah, and then we end up doing that.
That's appeasing, because then I'm like, good, I can make other people listen to my opinions on season 6.
You need to understand.
Yeah. So,
well, I'm sorry, it was really obvious right from the off. His whole face was wrong. I mean, props to Jared, incredible acting. But I don't know how Dean wasn't just like, you're not right with your face. It was wrong.
Yeah. So suspicious all the time anyway. He doesn't trust anybody further than he can throw him, but you just kept going. What the hell, Dean?
Aww. Yeah. But Sammy's his blind spot. I mean, that's the thing too. So, Sammy's his blind spot. So he's gonna give Sam a little more length of rope to hang him with than he would other people too. So I kind of feel like it was more like, oh shit, you're back. Oh shit. And like all of that was probably clouding his judgment more than anything else. And then when things settled, he's like, oh, there's something really wrong with him. What the hell's wrong with him? What's going on? That was my thought anyway. That's what I told Karlee. I don't think they were happy with that answer, but
I was not happy with that answer. I'm still not happy with that answer.
So I'm curious if Soulless Sam was like maybe one of your favorite like iterations of Sam. I'm guessing Demon Dean might be one of your favorite, or Mark of Cain, or was like one over the other. Does Michael Dean make an appearance in like what you consider like, your favorite Dean?
My favorite Dean is Demon Dean. Only because when he opened his eyes and they were black, I fell off the couch. And like everyone else, we knew it was coming. Of course we knew it was coming, but damn, it was that's such, and that cemented him, as the because this was going to be great. But Demon Dean, Mark of Cain Dean was a little bit more of like, they're close to me, but Demon is my favorite. I would love to do Michael Dean more, but it's I don't know why Demon Dean is easier than Michael Dean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm still really, really pissed that he was Michael Dean for like 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They really fucked up something on that. They could have gone. I mean, Jensen's range on that one was just, and I know that there's like one scene, if I remember, if I was reading accurately, he was actually sick. Like Jensen himself was sick, filming something as Michael Dean. It's like, you could have given him so much more. This could have been so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you got rid of it so fast.
Yeah. They did that with Demon Dean too.
After Demon Dean, it was a really big punch in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, Demon Dean, I think if I had to say favorite, Demon Dean is my favorite.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
That's
I can get on board with that. He didn't have as many options as Sam did. Sam was like possessed and soulless and Lucifer and some other stuff in the later seasons, I'm sure. I don't remember.
Yeah. he did have a lot more range. Like, you had Sam with the demon blood addiction, but they worked through, they worked with that, but then there was, Dean with his drinking that we just kind of went with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That could have been addressed.
They tried, and he just got mad and shot something. So
yeah. Turns out real life Dean is very similar to writing Dean, in which no, I won't. You can try, and I'm gonna sit here.
You can't make me.
Sure. Oh gosh. So Karen, was your first fanfic, was it a reader insert? And how'd you get into reader inserts? Because reader inserts, I know for me, when I try to do reader stories, sometimes they're a little bit harder, easier, depending, like the whole the second person kind of thing. I think I take that to like the wrong point. So was that like how you started writing fanfic, or did that end up being something that you?
No, I started with reader insert because there was a whole vocabulary for me to learn too. Mm-hmm. When I started posting stuff, what's a one shot, what is a squick, what is reader insert, what is, I had to learn all these different things. And, when I learned what reader insert was, I'm like, that's what I was doing back in the day. It was reader. So it was, I already knew how to do it. At least I thought I did. So I started with reader insert, and I find that I suck at tense. I have a hell of a time writing.
Yeah.
And fun fact, I actually have a degree in English writing.
Okay.
I suck at tense, always have. And so like first person, second person, third person omniscient, it's mm-hmm. Reader insert was easy because it's easy. It was easier to ground to myself and keep it straight. But it was also, I didn't write a longer work for quite a while because it's, shorter. I didn't have a whole lot of practice fleshing things out yet. So I stuck with reader insert for quite a long time before I did any original characters.
Okay.
And partially because I'm selfish. I don't want to do else. I'm putting the work into this guy.
Yep.
So it was basically like, well, it's reader, but it's really me.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I believe I at least kept like eye color and hair color out of it. At least I think I did. I have not read my first work back to myself in a few years now. And I know when I read it a few years later, I think I tweaked it a little bit, but I just didn't tell anybody. I just edited it and carried on. But I don't know. I probably will later, but I haven't gone back to it because I was happy with it then, and I'm happy to leave it back there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then my other question too is I seem to remember when you went from Tumblr to AO3, did you have do you have a master list on Tumblr still, or is like everything like AO3 now? Like did you moved everything over?
Everything is on AO3 because I tried to keep there is a master list on Tumblr, but it's outdated, but it gets you pretty far, and
mm-hmm.
it gets you into AO3.
Okay.
So I hope that once somebody's in there, they can navigate through.
Uh-huh.
I have a hell of a time making the Tumblr master list links function.
Mm.
And I can have it working for a while, and then somebody will ask for the link to it. It never works for them.
Okay.
And it's really very frustrating because Tumblr I have a hell of a time posting, the link back to AO3 with, to get the GIF to show up. GIF. I don't know how to pronounce it.
The movie thing. Yes.
I have a hard enough time getting Tumblr to put, because it's cool when there's a picture of who it is on there, and it just doesn't like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is a master list. I have a master list of everything that's been written, that's in progress, and all kinds of crap because I love spreadsheets.
Aw.
Oh God, it's happening again. Oh God, it's happening again. Oh God.
Yes, I also like spreadsheets.
Dude.
Oh man. So Yeah, I mean, I noticed that too, like on Tumblr, because like I said, I think I tried to post some things on Tumblr and I tried to use the HTML, which I'd use like when I was younger and stuff, right? Like, but there's so much more intricacies to kind of get things to work on Tumblr that it can be just a lot of back and forth and frustrating. So
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure too, because I remember going back and looking. I said, I remember seeing like most of her stuff on Tumblr, but it seems like there's been like a shift over. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you, because I know that we kind of got to you via MJ, Incog Ninja, Thoughts Like a Minefield. How did you really, did you build onto the community? Because you said you hadn't talked to people like for a while. So when did the community aspect of the fan fiction kind of like click for you?
It's one of those things that just, I just have these people now. I don't like, I can't really remember where they came from. There was one, and she doesn't pop up very much anymore really, because she just, life took over, kids, things like that. But she was like there was one that was one of the first people. She was also a creator, and she and I started chatting on the Messenger in Tumblr, because I'd been following her stuff and reading her works, and they were very good, but she posted a real life one. And I reached out to her on that one and we became friends. And through that, I kind of followed her around through her recommendations, and I got some bumps because she would repost my stuff.
Okay.
And that's where I found, MJ and company. And for MJ, for a couple of things, like she reached out to me for something real life that I had posted, and vice versa. So it was a very small build to the community, to the group of folks that I actually do talk to now. But part of it too was the pond. I jumped into that for a while, and I feel bad that I didn't stick with it, because they put so much work into that. It's a wonderful thing and it's still going. I jumped into the pond, and that was a really cool thing. So that's where a lot of the community came from, where it was like the reinforcement that there really are real people here that are just clamoring to, connect with others.
Yeah, we just had Michelle and Manna on from the pond. So actually we just explaining what it is, because that was another situation where, again, I just think I was just so overwhelmed by all of these different things. But Tumblr, the pond, and then Discord, I was just like, I'm out. I can't. It's just too much. So now I'm trying to get back into it again, because I think the one big thing that Karlee and I talk about too is like wanting more people to find our work, and also finding other writers that write similarly like to us, or have interests that match up. And I think utilizing, the pond as that community and just reaching out to more people can only kind of enrich our, like our writing and our, I guess, wanting to write, because you can only write so much. And then if you don't get responses or kudos or comments, it's just like screaming out into the void kind of a situation. So it's nice to know that people are reading it, liking it, commenting it. And I think we're trying to, just, I guess, get into the community more, because we kind of like are maybe a little insular, like with our small little like 3 group. So I'm trying to push that a little bit more too, because there are so many great writers and people just out there to meet and discuss things that you love and enjoy. It's always a fun little escape, I feel like, from the real world for a little bit too. Yeah, that's great. And I was so over the moon when I got to we got to have MJ on, because I've loved their stuff for years. And when they said yes, I was like, oh my God, this is like the best thing ever. It's like meeting your idols and not being disappointed. So it's like, it's one of those great things to just talk about
MJ. MJ is amazing. MJ just, when MJ reached out, when I started talking to them personally back and forth, it was the writers, the creators in the fandom that have the big followings and have the biggest talent. To myself, I always call them the big guns. These are the real, just gifted. My writing is not even close, which, I don't lose sleep over anything like that. Don't get me wrong. But when you first started talking to MJ, it's just God, you're good.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of my work too is actually when I started really writing Great Guns when it was, in 17, 18, 19, I was actually, it was more than just escape. It got me through a lot because it was someplace where I had control, because the outside world, I had none.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so a lot of that, and it's weird when you look back at how much has bled through. So like, if you know me and you read through my stuff and we're still talking to me, like, you could pick out where I got it from. It's amazing how much worked its way in, but at the end of the day, it's like, that's where else am I supposed to get it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're going to get it from experience, or for it to feel real, it's got to come from somewhere. A thought, like, again, the fantasy of it, the fiction of it has to come from something that you're feeling inside. You're not going to want to write about the scenario unless, you've got some connection to it, or at least you want to explore, I think, things more, right? Like, you want to work through stuff, or for me, a lot of it is experiencing things I will never get a chance to experience. So writing kind of like helps with that too,
Right.
in a lot of different ways. So yeah, you've got to write a little bit from what you know, or what your brain's trying to tell you, I think, or just like, and Karlee and I have talked a lot about how, these characters do help, I think, work through so much, which is really kind of amazing, I think, aside from the fact that, they're gorgeous and, we want to get them in bed, they're also just these amazing, they're these amazing foils, I think, that you can show a lot of yourself or parts that you're trying to work through in different ways. Yeah.
And they're comfortable as well. I know Sandra's talked about Dean being a real sort of comfort character for her. And I feel very much the same way with Sam, because he's the focus of most of my writing. They're reliable and they're comfortable, and you can take on, some of the bigger issues that might be banging around in your head, because you've got them there, and they're sort of dependable in that way. You can put them in a situation that maybe you need to work through, and they'll kind of guide you through it.
Yep.
And it's just nice.
Yeah. For a long time, I mean, Karlee knows this because I say this all the time, but like, I didn't really like decide on Dean until like the infamous season 6. And I think a lot of it was because, looking back at it now,
I wasn't going to throw you under the bus for that this time as well.
But looking back on it now, I really think there were parts of him that I just didn't want to look at because they were so reflective of stuff I had gone through, growing up and responsibility, and being the one that, you just do the work. You just put your nose to the grindstone. You just do what you're told to get through. And then just wanting to love all over him and be like, oh, you poor big man. Like, I just want to give you all the hugs that you didn't get, we talk about fixing too. I don't like to try to fix. I don't want to fix them because I think that help them, them through things, because I think that helping them through it helps you through it, kind of in a weird way. So yeah. No, that's great. I think all of us writers have so many insecurities too, or just not we just don't think we're good enough. And then to get responses from other people that we look up to that, you're doing a good job. This is great. Like I saw this, or I really enjoyed this. Our friend, Dandelion Dreaming, she wrote the Rookie series, and we connected through her. And she was one of the first ones that wrote this really long comment on one of my pieces. And that was oh my God, it was the heavens opened up. I was like, oh, thank you. I'm so excited. And that kind of gives you the need to want to connect more, and then continue to unburden yourself and all of your thoughts and stuff for other people to read and explore with you too. I think that's great. For so we were talking too. I noticed that you have a lot of like drabbles, one shots. I am the worst person when it comes to plot. Like I'll start out with this one idea and then it just grows and grows and grows. It's like I want to slap myself in the face and be like, why can't you just write a one shot? I've written a couple, but it's so hard for me to distill.
He doesn't like it.
Yeah, it's hard. So did you find that just more like a go-to, or is that something you really have to work at with one shots, or is that easier for you? Like how do you get them so short but just so great? That's my question. Like, how do you do that? Because I feel like more is better. And I see so many people do less is more. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've got a long answer and I've got a short one. Which one do you want?
Give me the long one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Okay. The long one is that actually the short one has to go in with it. The short answer started off as I write them backwards.
Okay.
I've noticed that I do this a lot, that I love leaving stories on cliffhangers. I love that last zinger line.
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, that's the first thought of the work.
Mm.
So the writing to get to it is I'm hurrying to get there. So I write out the short stuff is easier for me to write than the long ones because I either meander far too much or I struggle to give it more substance. I have an easier time writing the one shots and the smaller ones because I don't want to say I'm hard on myself, but I give myself the freedom to not have to detail every as deeply as I do on the longer ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So are you still kind of plotting in your head a little bit though, or is it really just focusing on the scene, the feeling, the moment kind of thing?
A lot of it, especially in the beginning, it was always the moment. It was because I have an entire like 15-page document of all one lines that I came up with in random, like on the way to work, in the middle of the night, just random statements that sometimes if I'm working on a longer one and I get stuck, I go open that and pull one of them out because they're thought growers. It's something I came up with, and there's the rest of the plot that I came up with at the time is attached to that statement. So when I go look at it in the file, it's like, oh yeah, and I can throw it in here. So it's easier. I have a hard time sometimes with more. So I have an easier time writing the less. Okay.
So do you feel, because Karlee's dealing with this right now, so you feel that cliffhangers are cliffhangers okay? Because they're
no, they are not.
Because
you'll not enjoy.
No, but in terms of like that, I guess a story doesn't have to have an ending to be complete, I guess, is kind of the thought process, right? Like when it comes to a one shot, like it doesn't have to have a beginning, middle, end the way most stories do.
No, because a lot of my stuff, because I have a series, I think it's called like Moments in Time, where it's just you're just looking through the window for an hour or two. You don't know the end, and a lot of times it's quite literally the cliffhanger, the zinger at the end is where I just ran out of ideas. All I have given you everything up to this moment, and I cannot give you any more. But also having grown up watching horror movies, find me a horror movie that has an ending. Find me a horror movie that has a definite, this is why it happened, and this, it's how my brain is wired to process that stuff. And some things do have endings. Some things are just very much, and they lived happily ever after. Yeah. Because I can't write angst to save my life because I don't like it.
Yep.
It hurts.
I said that so confidently, like what I'm currently writing isn't
angsty.
I I'll read it. I will cry for it because it's beautifully written but I'm great at writing it. I don't like it. I don't write to hurt. I write to feel better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I fully agree. I fully agree with that.
Did I answer you, or did I just completely go off to the?
No, I think you did. I think it's like focusing on the moment. I think so. I like outside of fan fiction, I write romances. So in my brain, it's always, how'd they meet? What's the conflict? How do we end up in the happily ever after? So for me, I think that's why one shots are such a like just a slut. Like I'm just like trudging through like mud, and like it's just like it's very intimidating just to focus on the moment. But then I'm like, but that's what my stories just are. They're just a lot of moments threaded together. So I kind of have to get out of that thought process. I have too much character stuff sometimes in my brain, and I think getting out of that is it's a good exercise, I think, for me. Like I said, I've done a couple that I'm like, oh, these are kind of nice, and they're not very long, and they actually do pretty well. And I'm like, maybe I should try to do these more instead of write this 80,000 word thing that's never going to end, because then I come up with another idea for these characters, and then I've got to do another addition to that, and another addition to that. So yeah, sure. It helps. I think, Karlee, we were just discussing like your current work in progress too, and how like, not having to give them a happily ever after kind of scenario doesn't necessarily have to be the thing.
Yeah, but it does in my mind, unfortunately.
I know. That's the thing.
I focus more on like a snapshot in time. So just a scene, just one thing, and I will let the reader fill in what might have happened before and fill in what happens after, but it has to end like at a reasonable point. That's why I've commented in author's notes so many times, why do my fics always end with people going to bed? Why do they always end with people falling asleep? Because that's a natural ending point. You don't like write, and then they got up and had breakfast. I mean, sometimes you do, but still. And I don't know, I don't like it being, I don't mind some things being open to interpretation, but I need you to know that what I want to tell you is finished. That everything I wanted to share with you, it's done now. So I'm currently in the situation of having written something and then having a buttload of ideas for how it started and having no idea of where it goes from here. So naturally I went, well, I'll just write how it started. It's fine. There's a whole heap of plot gone into that, which I don't plot particularly well either. That's why I write one-shots and snapshots and things like that. And now I'm like, I have to make this right somehow. And just before we started recording, Sandra was like, we don't have to. You could leave it as it is. And I'm like, no, I can't. I have to end it in some way. Because if I leave it where it is, it ends really ambiguously. And there's no definite concrete. I'm not done telling you what I wanted to tell you.
It's only hard the first time. You get used to it. Just the first time.
That's it. I've taken a step into male fics, and now I'm going to abandon all of my previous writing ethos and start leaving cliffhangers all over the place.
Well, at the end of the day, the best thing about it though is that you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. And we're our harshest critic too. So I mean, like we're always the hardest on ourselves too. So I think like realizing that we could try different things and it'd be okay. Yeah. So I wanted to ask, fanfic tropes that you love and hate.
I don't really, there's stuff that I don't really actually, I just scroll. I just see what pops. One of the ones I tend to gravitate to is, enemies to lovers. That's one of my favorite ones because I always love that inevitable fight.
Yes.
Because there's always somebody yells something they didn't mean and it's all out in the open. I don't know why, but I just love that. The getting in each other's way kind of thing. But it's the stuff that I don't really, I certainly don't seek out, and I don't begrudge writers or readers of it. Non-con, dubcon, incest, anything overly violent. I don't go for anything along those lines or anything, and that's more of tags. Sorry about that. But no, the enemies to lovers is my favorite one. I don't really think about it, to be honest.
So then you don't really, do you do a lot of searching on AO3, or are a lot of your stuff, what you're reading, does that still come via Tumblr, or do you do a lot of reading of just whatever suits your fancy or whatever pops up on AO3?
I have my subscribes on AO3.
Okay.
So when they pop up, like when MJ writes, their stuff pops up for me. And other times if I'm, I really don't have as much time as I used to because I got a new job last year and I actually have to work all day. But I click on, I go through, I read, I look on Tumblr, and if it takes me to AO3, fine, but I look for my stuff through Tumblr. So I follow tags through Tumblr.
Okay.
Right.
How complicated is that? Because we still we're like I said, I was on Tumblr, but how complicated is searching with tags? Is it, once you get the hang of it, is it pretty simple?
It is, because I've noticed that Tumblr loves nothing more than to help. So, if you've clicked on, a tag once or twice, it's like, here's more crap that you might like. It just shows up for me. I've never actually, I've never been I want to read something about this and I've had to go looking for it. I just opened Tumblr and I was like, hey, there's one. And it just takes you down the rabbit hole. Okay.
So it can get you to, now, are you a person that has a lot of tabs open, or how do you, no. Okay. Not a tab. No. Okay. All right.
Because invariably that one tab is going to start playing music and I'm going to have a stroke, and it just not.
Absolutely. We are different people. I am the master of all the tabs. I have so many.
If I have a lot of tabs open, it's because I'm really just on a mission to get to something. And then when I see that they're all open, I'm like, oh God.
No, see, what happens is what's going to happen now is I've got your profile open on AO3. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to start and I open everything I've read in a new tab so I can keep going through the list on AO3. And I have a nice collection to read. And then what will happen is something else will happen in life and I'll come back to that. And when I come back to it, I've forgotten that I'd opened all this shit up. So I start a new search or a new thing. And then there's a lot of tabs open and I don't know where I am anymore.
Well, I will do, or I used to, if I was following, there's actually a live updating to a fic in progress, last Wednesday was chapter 3 and that's chapter 4. And if I've been gone for a while, I will go open those multiple tabs and then plow through them. But that's the only time, because I don't tend to have a lot of tabs open. I'm so sorry.
No. I am not here to say that my idea is a good one. It is not. Because the amount of time Sandra has gone, you should read this. And I go, I will read that. And then it's 4 months down the line. And I go, hey, you remember that thing that you told me I should read? And we discussed it in a podcast episode and everything. Yeah, I just read it. I still haven't read Fun Buddies. It's open in my tabs. It's
You'll get to it eventually.
I'll get to it, but not now.
So one of the things I noticed going through your library on AO3 was that you have a lot of Sam Dean reader. So what is it, just because you just want to be able to have it all? You just want to be able to have,
Yep. There are, in some cases though too, there are some where it's nobody can, I don't mean it like this, but I'm going to say it. Nobody can fill this slot but Sam. Nobody can, there are some where it just has to be one or the other, but there's others where it's no, I want everything.
I was reading Midnight Things. And I liked how you went from, it was Dean, then it was Sam, then they were sharing. And Karlee was like, oh, I need a schedule or
I need a rower. You could not come to me every day and be like, pick a brother for tonight. I'd be like, no, I need a table and a spreadsheet, and I need percentages of who's got the most. I need it. I know that's too much. No.
Midnight Things is is an example of writing backwards.
Okay.
The final thing that Dean says is where it started.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna look right now because I have it.
Because I believe he said something like, "Well, neither one of us knows what silent means," or it's something along. Because for some reason, nothing is funnier to me than Dean's angry voice breaking the silence of the night. And I don't know why.
I just love listening to him. That's my thing. He could just read whatever and do whatever. I'm of the mindset that you don't want to, don't make him not speak. I want him to speak through all the things.
she feels very strongly about this. I know you said that you don't like Wincest, Karen, so I won't dwell on it. But I just kind of tiptoed over to Wincest from Read It Inserts, and I was telling her about this fic I was writing, and she was like, "Are you gonna gag him?" And I was like, "Yeah, maybe." She's like, "Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't gag him. I want him to speak." And it was in my head for the whole time I was writing it. Like, I had Sam threaten it, and I was like, "That's an idle threat." So don't gag him. Just feelings about Dean talk, and I fully get on board with him.
Yeah. There's just something about him and his voice. I'm just like, please give it to me all the time. I just need it. I feel like it's such a integral part of fiction anyway. Like, why would you when you write him, you want to hear his voice, and if you can hear his voice in your head as you're writing it, I feel like you've gotten it down. Like, I'm sure the same thing like with Sam. Like, if you write something a certain way and you can hear him say it, then you've got it. It's done. And I love what some fanfic authors do with Dean's mouth and his voice. It's amazing. One of the things I really like too about like MJ was one of the first ones that I felt really got Dean. Like, I just felt like as a character, not just sticking him in situations, but just
Definitely
got him. And I appreciate that when that happens with authors, because I know it's a lot. It's a lot of, the boys are a lot of work. I wanted to ask, because I know we've kept you a while. What are some of your like all-time favorites that you've written? And then what are some of your favorite like fanfic authors too, that you like go to time and time again to read their stuff?
Some of the ones that some of my favorites that I'm most proud of, like I said, is Grocery Shopping Sucks, because I just think it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
HCN, Hunter Care Network, I think is one of my first really worked on longer pieces that I was proud of because that one I actually, I set out to write it from beginning to end, and damn it, I wasn't going to post a single thing until it was done.
Okay.
And I didn't, but I still wound up changing shit because there were a couple of comments on a couple of the chapters, like, I can't wait to see what they do with this. And I'm like, uh-oh. So there was a panic fix a little bit. I'm proud of how that one turned out.
Okay.
You Watch What is another one that I was pretty fond of. They're all the shorter ones, like what's it called? I've Got You, I think. It's another shorty, because it was one of those where I just wanted somebody to take care of me for a minute. The Winchester seemed like a good candidate.
Aww, yeah.
Another one that I like that I did because I just felt like he got the short end of the stick is I have a Benny fic called I'm For You, and it's multi-chapter.
Okay.
And that's one that I'm proud of.
Okay. Write that one down, because I'm usually not a Benny person, but I will give it a read. Yeah.
I adored Benny. Some of my favorite, some of my favorites too, like, I don't know where they went.
Mm-hmm.
Some stuff you just kind of fall off of, and with the great Tumblr shakeup, a lot of things got lost, and life getting in the way, and computers changing over, and stuff crashing. But MJ, absolutely one of my favorites. There's one of their pieces I go back to, and now I can't remember what it's called, but I go back and I read it really often because it's.
What's it about? I might know it if you explain what it's about.
It starts off after a hunt. I think it's called The Rules.
Rules are rules. I think it's Rules are rules.
because it starts off because after a hunt in the shower room.
Yep.
Yeah. That one is just stuck in my freaking brain.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's a great one.
Kitten of Doomage has a lot of ABO, and actually those works are where I learned about it. That's one I could never take on. I could never take on writing that. So I love reading it because it's so vivid and does such a good job writing it.
Okay.
There Must Be a Lock is another one.
Yeah.
Another one, Dean Winchester's Witch is one. If you ever watch her and I go back and forth on Tumblr. I did
just recently. I was seeing that there's like a trend. You guys go back and forth.
Likes to send me to tag me in posts that's called War Among Friends, because we have the Divine Nine, and likes to ambush me with these gifts that I can't handle looking at when I'm working. So, but
Sandra does that.
Also one of my favorite writers. And there's so many that I just burn through, and I just, there's so many. I wish I could name them all, but I've written down these few. But there's so much out there in our crazy fandom that there's so much good stuff out there.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's something for everybody, right? And that's the great thing too. Karen, this has been great. I mean, as long as you're good with it, I would love to. I'd love to narrate the grocery shopping sucks, and probably you watch what. We do like a little ramble on, and I'll narrate those bad boys, and you can.
I'd be honored.
You can get to hear me try to do Sam and Dean.
I'd absolutely be honored. I'm excited because I've never had my anything of mine.
Those are they're fun. Karlee really liked it when they got to listen to the first one that I did of theirs, and now I've done many.
It is. You have done a few of mine. Honestly, it is the best feeling in the world to hear your words narrated, and you're like, oh my god, and like this is like a professional thing, and she does such an amazing job. Honestly, she'll put herself down. It's incredible. Incredible.
I'm absolutely looking forward to this, and I've had a really fantastic time. Thank you so much.
Oh no, thank you. So hopefully we can have you. Yeah, we can have you back at some point. Maybe we can get you and MJ to come on together. That might be.
Oh God!
Oh, that would be great.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, yes. I'm gonna maybe ask her too. Again, if she
get in touch with time. MJ, make this happen, because that would be sweet.
Oh, Karen, this has been great. Like I said, I've followed you for a while, and I do love I love what you can do with your one shots and all that. So you've given us a lot of, I think, good tips too about writing and how to like push through and kind of like start at the end, work back. I'm gonna try that for.
It's weird. It's weird how it happens. I didn't even realize I was doing it until I realized I was doing it. And and sometimes it happens more often than I mean, it sounds like I'm joking about it, but no joke. There are times where it's almost quite literally, Dean will not let me write any other story. Sam will not let me write him any other way. And until I write it that way, they just won't. Sam will.
They won't behave. Yeah, they won't behave. Yeah.
Yes. And Dean gets a 6-pack, and then bitches just sit there and just look at me.
Yep. They fully on board with that. Just like, yeah, figure it out, fucker. And you're like, guys, please, something, anything. Give me like a scrap of something to work with, and they just go,
nope, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
And that's when you find yourself moving whole sections of the story to new documents, because you're not going to delete it, but clearly it doesn't fit here. Yeah.
Oh God, you should see my junk pages. My junk pages.
Do you have a lot?
Oh yeah, they're always at the end because I have them in my Word doc. So if I have like a 70-page doc, the work is only like 40. The rest is all my junk, because there could be something good I can use in there later.
Wow. Yeah. How do
Yeah, throw
you, so
anything
how do you find it again? Like, or do you just know, are you color coding things and putting them in spreadsheets?
I'm usually pretty good because I can remember what led up to the thought I'm looking for. So I can usually remember where it is.
Okay.
But actually the biggest mistake I made is, and I was actually complaining, I think I was complaining to either MJ or Dean Winchester's Witch really recently. I was about to throw my computer out the window because I could not find something I knew I had taken out of my notebooks. I know I had written it. I knew it. It's because I started using Google Docs not too long ago. I was so mad.
Okay.
I found it. I didn't start retyping anything, but I'm just like, damn it! Even though Google Docs is way more convenient in some cases. I was so pissed.
Yeah. No, I was a Microsoft Word person for a really long time. I still am, like, for work and stuff. But yeah, I've transitioned to doing most of my fanfic stuff now. It's all on Google. Yeah, that was a hard transition.
It's so much easier because then you can just share it with people and go, does this suck?
Yeah.
Please help me. They won't help.
Please tell me Sam is pissing me off again and I can't identify the monster. Please help.
I do that so much. I'm just like, I'll have like 3 lines and I'll be like, Sandra, please just look at this because I have an idea, but I don't know how to get from here to there. Help me.
Yeah.
I love Google Docs. I love it.
I get stuck all the time. That's actually what some of the one shots are. It was going to be a longer story, but I gave up.
Yeah.
Well, it's all good stuff, no matter what. So whatever you shared with us, thank you. We truly appreciate you sharing your writing with us.
Thank you so much. The one thing I really do want to say is, I know I alluded to it a little bit, but just no joke. This fandom and the fan fiction and Sam and Dean themselves, I would not have made it without everybody's contribution into this, the acceptance, the reading of my work or the not reading of my work. Sam and Dean for just existing, and the fandom for holding everybody up. I can't believe how much I leaned on it until you're looking back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you don't know until, like, you're through it, right? And you're able to look back at it and be like, okay, this was it. This was what I needed, and this group was there for me. I feel that way about Karlee and Dee, especially through COVID. I know. I mean, that's kind of where we kind of grew our little group together, and a lot of it wouldn't have. I think we all helped each other through, like, a good few years of just like uncertainty and finding something that made us all feel a little bit better through really uncertain times. Strange
days.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. Really appreciate this, and we like this. This was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right. I now have to figure out how to turn this thing off.
Okay. Well, if you can't, I can boot you out.
Personally. Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Speak to you later. Thank you for coming. Bye.
Bye.
She's lovely.
Yeah.
She is a fucking delight.
Okay. So we want to thank Karen. It was a great conversation. I loved hearing about her writing process and just all things fanfic. I thought it was great.
It's always good to compare notes as well. How do you do things?
Yeah. I really liked that. We need more of that, right? That's great. That's great to do. It's great to do.
Especially if you are like me and Sandra and suffer pretty heavily with imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
It's always good to connect with other people who are like, no, I do exactly that. And you're like, oh my God, I'm normal. Oh, thank Christ for that. And also it's really reassuring for me because I don't think we've ever spoken about this, Sandra. I've complained about like Sam not behaving to you, but you don't seem to view the characters quite that way. So it's really reassuring to me that I'm not I am insane, but I'm not insane in this one specific way. That yes, other people have these characters have big ass tantrums on them and refuse to do what you tell them and refuse to help.
Yeah.
And you're just left there like, but guys, why?
So if you want to reach out to us, you can email us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com or reach out to us on Twitter at idlinginthe_D_Impala. If you'd like to make your voice a mail, check the description for a link to send us a voice message. You can find links to our personal socials and our AO3 accounts in the description. And there's also a link to my author website, which has my original fiction.
What, no deep breath this time?
No. See, I got it all out without a deep breath. Yay!
You got it all out this time. Woo! Party for Sandra. Also, in the description, you will find links to our Ko-fi page. If you can, if you feel able, if you want to, give a little donation as a thanks for all the hard work that goes into the podcast. We would be endlessly grateful. Merch is, at time of recording, on hiatus, so I'm not going to direct you to the merch link in the description.
In case it's not there.
It might not be there, or it might be a different merch link than the one that is currently in the description.
We don't know.
We don't know. So that's all we'll say about merch. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, leave us a comment or a review wherever you watch or listen to this podcast. We would be endlessly grateful for that. And so we will say thank you very much for joining us in the backseat, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.